It is a cold and rainy fall day here in Tennessee. And when you think of fall, what do you think of? Family, food, and football. So today I thought I would show y'all how to make my spicy Chipotle chicken casserole. It's so good, sure to be a touchdown. Are y'all ready? Well, we're about to get started on that chicken casserole, but before we do, let's make dessert, because who doesn't like dessert first anyway? I'm gonna show y'all how to make a triple chocolate brownie with salted caramel and chocolate buttercream icing. Y'all, it's so good. So let's get started on that. So what you do, just get a large mixing bowl, and to that you're gonna add 3 cups of sugar. And to that we're gonna add a cup of melted butter. Then you want to take your vanilla, and we're going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. All right, now we're going to set that aside. You're going to grab your hand mixer, because your hand mixer will work just fine, and we're just going to blend these ingredients together. Okay, once you have those kind of combined, we're going to add 4 eggs, and you want to add your eggs individually. And blend after each one. Okay, so set that aside, grab another little separate dish, little separate bowl, and to this we want to add 1½ cups of flour. There, and the reason that we're actually putting this in a separate bowl is because we want to sift it. There are 2 reasons that you want to sift. You want to sift, number 1, because it is going to incorporate your ingredients better, and number 2, when you go to blend your ingredients, it's going to blend much faster. To that I added just like about a teaspoon of salt, and then we're also going to add a cup of cocoa powder. And you know what, it doesn't have to be precise. It a little goes over the edge and you get a little extra cocoa. That's just fine. Okay, so we have about a cup. You know, and just because I'm kind of out of my mind, we're going to give this just a little bit of a toss. Just to incorporate those ingredients a little bit. Okay, and then get your little sifter, and you just want to do a little bit at a time. Now give this a good stir. Good God. That's why you only add little bits at a time. Now you'll notice this is some thick brownie batter, y'all. Look how thick that is. And we're not even done yet. Okay, let's add the rest of our dry ingredients. You know, I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't like brownies, especially when you put chocolate chips in it, then you put icing on top of it. You know, I'm trying to make this stuff as fattening as I possibly can. All right, it's starting to come together. And the day you're gonna make this, you don't have to worry about going to the gym, because this is hard to stir. That's some thick business. Okay, so there we go. See how thick that stuff is? Good grief. Okay, so to that, let's add some chocolate chips. Now what I like to use is milk chocolate, and I'm gonna use Ghirardelli because I think it's the best. And you can just guess on this. You know, use about a cup, but again, can't go wrong. Now let's stir these in. And also too, if you love nuts, pecans, walnuts, you could mix those in here as well if you wanted to. Good enough. So let's set that aside. And then what you want to do is get a 9x13 baking dish, and you want to get a little bit of your cooking spray and lightly spray the sides and the bottom of your baking dish. I'm going to take and just put this right down. into your baking dish it goes. So what you want to do at this point, just go ahead and smooth these around. And I've already preset my oven at 350 degrees. So you want to make sure to do that step. So once you have your batter in your baking dish, you're going to pop that in your oven. Again, it's 350 degrees, and we're going to bake that for 35 minutes. So while the brownies are baking, let's go ahead and make our chocolate buttercream icing that's going to go on top. Now, while the brownies are baking, let's make our chocolate buttercream icing to go on top. So what you want to do is you want to take a cup of softened butter, and we're going to cream that for a few seconds just to make it nice and creamy. All right, to that we're going to add 4 cups of powdered sugar. Now, what I like to do is add just a little bit at a time. Otherwise, it's going to end up in your face and all over you like that brownie batter did a little bit ago. Start on slow. We turn it up a little bit. You see all that starting to come together? Oh my gosh. And this recipe is definitely going to create enough icing for you. Okay, so the rest of our powdered sugar. To that, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. Let's go ahead and put our other ingredients in at the same time. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then we're also going to add, let's start out with just a tablespoon of milk, and then we'll see where we go from there, because if it's too thick, we might have to add an extra half a tablespoon or an additional tablespoon. We want it to be thick, but we also want to be able to spread it. I'm going to push that around a little bit. Start on low. You see all the smoke coming out of the brownies? I'm going to get a cocoa powder high. Now I can already tell this is going to take a little bit more milk. And need some more. Let's put some more in there. My little hand mixer's like, help me out, asshole. You're making me work. You know what, y'all? I still want it thinner. Let's add another little bit of milk here. So all in all, we'll probably end up with, I'm gonna say 3 tablespoons. All right, there you go. Y'all, that's some good stuff. So, icing made, let's set that aside and get started on that casserole. Okay, let's start off. We need 2 pounds, brownies are almost ready, I heard them. We need 2 pounds of chicken tenderloins. So we're gonna open this up, and then you wanna take your tenderloins, and I'm sure most of y'all already know this, but I'm gonna tell you, it has this little tendon in it, and I don't like that. Nobody wants to bite into that business, so we're gonna cut those off. And then we're just gonna layer these up on a cookie sheet with nonstick aluminum foil. And we're gonna put those in the oven, and we're gonna bake these for about 15 minutes at 350 degrees. Okay, we just cut our chicken. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Our oven's dinging at us because our brownies are ready. So we're just gonna transfer these out. We're gonna grab our brownies, transfer these over so they can cool, and we'll just replace it with the chicken. Again, 350 degrees, 15 minutes. We don't like dry chicken, remember. Okay, so while our chicken is baking, let's go ahead and get started on the rest of this business. What you want to do is get your saucepan. We added about a tablespoon of butter to it. We're going to turn that on about medium high, and while that butter's melting, let's chop our onion. And you're going to want to use just a full onion, because this is a pretty big dish. This will feed several people. Now what you want to do is just dice your onion up roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, I should use a different knife for this, but I don't want to get it. Okay. Scoot that to side. And you want to try and get your onion fairly the same size when you're chopping it, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. And honestly, if you have a big onion problem and you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but you're sure gonna miss a lot of flavor if you don't. I can make a mess, let me tell you. Okay, so our butter is melted and it is starting to bubble just a little bit. So what I wanna do is we're gonna take our onion and we're going to just push that right, ooh, hear it sizzle. I love that sound. Get our onion right down into our saucepan here. Let's see, I need a spoon. Hold on, y'all. Where the hell's my spoon? Okay. So you just want to give your onions a nice toss. Get them all nice and coated in that butter. And we're gonna cook these for about, about 5 minutes or so. And we're gonna let those onions get translucent. We don't really necessarily want them to brown, but we definitely want them to get nice and translucent. Okay, now while our onions are sauteing and getting nice and translucent, let's go ahead and get started on our tortillas. What we're gonna need here, these are yellow corn tortillas. And let's start off with about 12 of them. And what we're gonna wanna do is take those tortillas, let me grab a bigger knife, and we're gonna cut them in half. And then we're gonna cut them in half the other direction. And we're almost gonna layer this dish up, kind of like a lasagna. All right, so we've got those done. Easy peasy. Set that aside. Check on our onion. Looking good. It smells good too, y'all. I love the smell of cooking onion for some reason, I don't know why. While those onions continue to cook, let's go ahead and open up our can, the ingredients that we're gonna use. We want 3 cans of cream of mushroom soup. Again, this is super, super easy dish, but you know, it's so, so good. If you're having friends over to watch the game, or if you're actually going to somebody's house, this is a great, great dish to take. Everybody always loves it. It can feed a lot of people. Now tonight, we happen to have some friends coming over, and so I'm gonna serve it a little bit differently. I'm actually gonna plate it up. I'm gonna put a dollop of sour cream on each top of each portion with some green onions. So I'm gonna serve it a little bit differently. You can serve it dressed up or on a buffet. Super, super simple. And everybody loves it. Kids, adults, it's all good. So I'm also opening it up now. Besides the 3 cans of cream mushroom soup, I'm also gonna add 3 cans of original Rotel. And you're gonna wanna drain this. Now, depending on how spicy you like things, you can use the original, you can use the mild, but it also comes hot. So if you're a lover of spicy, spicy hot foods, you can get the hot. Make sure you don't burn the onion. Okay. Ew. Okay, so now what you want to do with that, let's go ahead, and you want to take your cans of your cream of mushroom and just put them right down into your onion. Okay. Then what I want to do is just give this a nice stir. Okay, so now I'm gonna take these cans and we're gonna get rid of that juice. I always like to see what I can do to make girly behind the camera giggle. So, let's take this Rotel and we're gonna dump that down in there. Give it a stir. Let me turn this heat down to low. Because it really doesn't matter much if you get this hot, because it's gonna go in the oven. So we have this all mixed together. We're just gonna keep that on low, but now here comes the good stuff. We're gonna put 2 different kinds of cheese in our casserole. We're gonna do a Chipotle Jack, and cheddar. Now, don't buy that pre-shredded stuff. You know, does it save time? Yes, but you don't want it. Get some good stuff that you can grate up yourself. So again, we're gonna end up doing about a cup, maybe a little bit over a cup of the Chipotle Jack, and then we're using a sharp cheddar as well. And while this is happening, I'm gonna pull that chicken out because it just gave us the little signal that it was done. So let's pull that out. We'll set that aside. Let it cool down a little bit. I know this is a workout, but it's the only exercise I get. Obviously. Okay, we are done with that cheese business. Okay, we have our cheese shredded. Now let's shred our chicken. What we can do is just grab our pot with all of our goodies in it. I'm gonna grab 2 forks and we're gonna shred a little chicken. Again, I don't want it super shredded. I want it to be fairly chunky. I like to get big chunks of the chicken in this dish. And just plop it on in. Okay, we've got our chicken shredded up with the rest of our ingredients here. We just want to give this a nice little stir. Make sure that all of this is nicely combined. Okay, set that aside. No drain. Let's get our cooking spray. Let's do just a little bit in the bottom. Now you want to grab your casserole dish, and this equals out to be about, about a 13 by 11. So what you want to do is with your tortillas that we sliced earlier, you want to layer those up in your dish. Again, kind of like you're making a lasagna. And you want to try and cover the bottom pretty good. Okay, so to make it easy, let's use a ladle. Make it a whole lot easier to spoon. So we're going to layer that up. And then you just want to push this around. It'll probably take about 3. Kind of smooth that around the bottom. Just use your ladle to do that. And then you want to grab your cheddar. Give it a nice sprinkle. Don't be stingy with the cheese, folks. One of the best parts. And then we're gonna add our chipotle. So we have our casserole all layered up. It's about 3 layers of tortilla and all that creamy goodness, and 3 layers of the 2 different cheeses. Now you do want to top off your casserole with quite a bit of cheese. You know, there's nothing better than that old hot, bubbly cheese. So we're gonna layer that up. And then we're going to pop this in an oven, and we want to have it uncovered. It's a 350 degree preheated oven, and this is going to take about 45 minutes. So like I said earlier, the great thing about that casserole is it's so easy to make, and you can serve it buffet style. But tonight we're having friends over for dinner, and so I'm going to add a salad to the dish just to kind of round it all out. So let's go ahead and get started on our salad dressing, because you know we got to make our own. So what you're going to do is just start out with 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of sour cream, and I want to add the juice of half a lime. We're going to add chili powder, and I'm just going to add a 1/2 teaspoon. I am going to add 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. We're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. We're going to add some cayenne pepper because we need a little heat in our dressing. Let's add 1/2 teaspoon. And it won't fit in the jar, y'all. I'm going to sprinkle it on there. Okay, about 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. We're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. A little more than half. but it's gonna be all right. It's not a big deal. Okay, and you just wanna give this a nice whisk. See, so easy. And when your guests sit down and go, God, I love this salad dressing, you go, oh, thanks, I made it. Let's taste it. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so let's set that aside. So we have our salad dressing made. Now let's just cut up our goodies to go in the salad. I just have some green lettuce here, green leaf lettuce. Let's just chop that up. About halfway done here. We're just gonna transfer that right to a little container here. I try and kind of condense it down a little bit. Get a nice big knife, give it a nice coarse chop. Now let's slice up some little grape tomatoes to go in here as well. All right, we're gonna add red onion. Spread these right over the top of it. So good. We've got that done. Now let's move on to the avocado. I'm grabbing a little bowl because when we slice our avocado, what I want to do is I want to put some lime juice on top of it to make sure that it doesn't turn brown. Just cut those in half. And just using your fingers. Best tools in the kitchen. Y'all, this knife is dull as Robert's personality. Right, like I said, we're gonna put a little lime juice on top of those avocados. Just a little bit, keep it from browning. Give them a nice little toss. Right on top of the salad. It goes. We're gonna add about a cup of corn. Okay, now our salad dressing that we made earlier, we're gonna take and we're gonna drizzle that, as I make a mess, we're gonna drizzle that right on top of our salad. And we're gonna give this a nice toss. Now, as y'all can tell, I already dressed the salad, and the reason that I did that is because I'm gonna be serving it to my guests in about 10 to 15 minutes. So I don't have to worry about the salad getting all wilted and yucky. But if you're gonna serve it to your guests any later than that, do it as close as you can to when your guests are gonna arrive. So we got that, don't forget. Now let's move on to these brownies. Our brownies are nice and cool. Now, I'm gonna put a salted caramel topping, and it's super easy. Oh, look, here it comes. Oh my gosh, that's trouble. We're gonna pour this out and we're gonna just kind of smear it around all over the top of our brownies. Y'all, that's some bad news right there. And here's our buttercream that we made earlier. That is so ridiculous. And again, the thing that's great about all this is you can make it in advance, which makes it easy for you to entertain if you're having folks over. And because I'm crazy, I can't stand having stuff on the side of my dishes looking sloppy. All right, there's your brownies. They're ready to go. We're gonna set these aside and let's eat.